Hey guys, markets are acting so crazy, but there are some areas that are actually going higher. We're going to be going into that today. This is your weekly update for February 18th, 2022. All right, so most people out there, when you're reading about financial news, it's all bears and it's terrible. I wanted to go through some of the best stocks that were actually doing well in the sectors that are doing relatively well. So that's what we're trying to do here. I know the market stinks, but there are some stocks that are doing relatively well. So let's go ahead and set the stage. In January, here's what was interesting to me. A lot of the selling was in small caps. And you can see that basically looking at the buys and sells by market cap. So 500 million out to 50 billion, a lot more selling than buying. But then also the big caps, when you get north of 50 billion and bigger, there wasn't as much selling relative to buying, okay? So that's the first thing that I noticed. You come out to February, things are starting to look a little different. You see that small caps, there's more buying than selling. And then when it comes to big caps, you start to see that selling is starting to gain. So listen, a lot of stuff isn't making sense, but there are certain areas of the market that are doing relatively well. But just to showcase all of the rotational action that we're seeing, these are the daily counts of buys and sells on a given day. Normally, this stuff looks very much in a trend. You'll see a lot of blue, which is buys, and you'll see a lot of red, which is sells. But you're getting a bunch of up, down action. Hard to make heads or tails of it. But there are some areas that are doing relatively well. So I've talked about this earlier. Discretionary has some names, specifically in the travel sector, that are getting bought. And so that's what I wanted to showcase. Look, a lot of stuff's getting sold, but there's a few that are actually going up. Expedia, right? These are the big money signals, okay? I actually own this one personally. So this tells me that the big money is probably betting on a world getting past COVID, right? People are gonna wanna travel. And maybe with all the supply chain issues that are going on, travel isn't going to be impacted as much. So it's one of the few names that are doing very well in the discretionary space. What else has been doing well on a sector basis is energy, right? We all know this. You go fill up your car at the pump, prices are high. Well, you can see the big money has been going into energy stocks. There's just no other way to say it. In fact, it's the strongest group year to date in terms of big money buying. So no need to fight that trend. What's one of the names that have been working in that space? Schlumberger, and you can see that again, lots of green going into this name. Again, a lot of stocks are going down. There are a few that are going up, but it's in some of these other areas. Industrials, I pointed out that there's some buying that's going on in industrials, okay? Specifically, and I made mention of this, was it last week, where we're talking about container ships, right? So you got all these supply constraint issues that are going on. Looks like the big money is going into some of these smaller, definitely riskier names. I want to put that out there. Container ship companies, right? So you can't get supplies one way, you go another way. Star Bulk Carriers is one of these names that has been getting a lot of the big money love. I just find this really fascinating. Healthcare, there's a few names that are getting bought right now. And look, the world is like worried, right? There are some healthcare companies that are very dependable, right? They pay dividends on time for years and years. You want stability sometimes whenever the market is acting as crazy as it is. So one of those areas, one of those stocks is AbbVie, right? They sell drugs. I've owned this one for a long time. Huge, big money magnet. I mean, look at this. That is the stairway to heaven. They continue to raise their dividend, but that is like, a lot of people, they just look at all the pain, but there are a few names that are going up. Very few. Material stocks, right? These are companies that deal with commodities. They deal with products. Right now, we know that there's high inflation. If you're selling commodities or you're transporting commodities, you might have higher margins, right? You look at a company like Huntsman, okay? Look at all the green that's going in there. So look, these are not your normal growth names that I'm like accustomed to looking at, but there are some patches of green. Now, you might be wondering, why are you not showcasing any tech stocks that are going up? It's because in our data, there's practically no buying that's going on in tech stocks. And believe me, a lot of the stocks that I own in my personal account, they are down huge. It is what happens. It's part of investing. But year to date, there have been almost no buyers in technology. That's why I haven't been showcasing it whenever I'm talking about it. But I just wanted you guys to be aware that I know that there is a lot of pain in the technology group. All right, so that is your big money update. Remember, none of this is personalized advice of any kind. I just want you guys to be able to see that there are some pockets of life out there in the market. I know it's painful for many of you, including myself, but you gotta stick through it. That is what happens when you are a long-term investor. We go through these cycles of ups and downs. Look, if you like this type of content, you love this unique way of looking at the market, please smash that like button, share it, leave us a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys so that we can make our content better. I'll see you next time.